Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Yes, it has been a while since I did my last review, but I finally have something else, something new that I can review. So so today we're going to be taking a look at the Jurassic World Epic Evolution Danger Pack Craterosaurus. So this is a brand new species for the Epic Evolution line, as well as a brand new species for their Danger Pack assortment. But also a brand new Stegosaur species. So Mattel likes to give us multiple species of one family. You know, they give us a bunch of Bellisaurs, they give us a bunch of Spinosaurs, a bunch of Tyrannosaurs, and they also give us a lot of Ankylosaurs, as well as Ceratopsians, and also Stegosaurs. So this is our, I don't even know how many they've had at this point, at least at the top of my head. But I know this is just another smaller species, and I was not really, I wasn't known of this species at all until I saw it revealed that Mattel was making this species. So yeah, this is a brand new species to me, so that's really cool. Yeah, never heard of Craterosaurus before, but it looks pretty cool. Looks like a standard Stegosaur, kind of something similar along the lines of a giant Spinosaurus or a Kentrosaurus, Miragaia, Toyangosaurus, only because it has like the signature plates, and then they transition to the spikes at the end of the tail. So really cool looking design of this dinosaur so far. But yeah, here's a brief look at the packaging for these Danger Packs, which is pretty typical. You know, you got the Jurassic World logo, the T-Rex up there. This is part of the Savannah environment. The colors match pretty well too. Epic Evolution, Danger Pack, you know, same typical stuff. And then here on the back just shows you some other things, a bunch of information. Epic Evolution, the other figures in the line, which I pretty much have all of them except that red raptor. Still debating whether if I'm going to get that or not. I'm a pretty big fan of a red Jurassic Park Velociraptor, but we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of new stuff coming out this year, and I might want to excuse me, I might just want to save my money for a lot of the newer stuff before I get onto repaints and all that. And then it shows you has some facts up information. But yeah, that's basically it for this, I guess, a brief overview of the package. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this figure. Alrighty, so here we have the Danger Pack Craterosaurus out of the package. Just by briefly taking a look at it, full 360, I really do enjoy it. You know, it's a nice Stegosaur species, like I said. A very unique one at that, so really cool. Like I said before, I wasn't too familiar with Craterosaurus until Mattel revealed this figure, and after every single time Mattel really reveals a new figure of a new species that I have never heard of, I always do a little research all over the internet just to kind of get a good idea of what kind of dinosaur this is. And well, obviously, yeah, it's a Stegosaur, kind of similar to those like Toyangosaurus, or just kind of like those smaller species of Stegosaurs that have like the mix between the plates and then they transition to the spikes, which, you know, looking at this figure full 360, it's kind of an interesting design concept, because usually when it comes to these dinosaurs, it usually starts off with smaller plates and they grow into bigger plates, and then after that the plates kind of like transform, or kind of like transform slowly into spikes, so they kind of get thinner and it just kind of looks like a row of spikes. So but yeah, I find it pretty cool. And interestingly, the spikes are like larger at the tip of the tail, but then they kind of get smaller, and then it transitions to like the larger plates. So it's kind of it doesn't really flow or transition into the spikes fluently like modern day Stegosaurs probably would have had. But it's cool. It's a unique looking design choice, and it kind of sets it apart with the other Stegosaurs that Mattel has released. Overall, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one. You know, my goal is always going to be to collect all of the new species that Mattel releases. You know, my goal is to have one of each, at least, of every single species that Mattel has given us, whether they're from the movies or if they're just random species that they create, just like this one. But yeah, overall, the sculpt looks really nice on this one. Mattel has always done a really good job on their sculpt. which you can, which obviously shines a lot when you do repaints, or when people do repaints. The sculpt on these figures just pop really nicely. But you can kind of see all the nice detail here, especially here on the body. A lot of the nice smaller pebbled scales with some larger ones poking here and there. And you got some larger scoots or larger bumps right there around the shoulder area. And you got some nice, more sculpted scales around the legs, which look really nice. And they pop depending on where the shading is, so it's really nice. And there's kind of like a good mix between scales and just kind of lined texture on the skin. So kind of like wrinkly skin, like on an elephant. Mattel does a really good job on that kind of detail, along with the scales, of course. As you can see here on the neck, you got some nice pebble scales there, some nice wrinkly texture all over the underside specifically. Even the lower part of the legs kind of transitions from this to the scales. And here at the head, just some nice overall scale detail. The head looks really good, classic Stegosaur looking head. Yeah, really nicely done. And then obviously the plates are really nicely sculpted as well, with a lot of nice lined texture. And then we got the spikes, which don't have a whole lot of texture on them, but they're just spikes. They kind of pop no matter what. And then here at the hands, which look really nicely sculpted as well. Not a whole lot going on, but pretty typical for the most part. Same with the other side. And I like the amount of muscle definition around the body area. It just kind of makes this guy kind of feel like a really hefty, chunky, just land animal, just kind of waddling through the ground or on land, just kind of looking for food to eat, or just kind of traveling, just, you know, just what animals do, I guess. But yeah, I really do like the detail and the muscle definition all over the legs too, which look really nice. And then here at the tail, you got some nice lined detail, some muscles poking out, and some nice little lined detail as well as some scales. So really nicely done there. Now, yeah, the colors are really nicely too. This guy is supposed to be part of the savannah, which, yeah, makes sense. If you were to place this figure in a savannah environment, I think it would blend in, or at least fit in very nicely. And the color choices are really nicely too. You got like this nice mustard type of yellow, or kind of like a dirty mustard kind of, and then like this light cream color on some areas, and then brown for the plates, and that's pretty much it. And then a yellow for the eye, which the pupil is the same color as brown. So it would have been nice if the pupil was like black, or at least this brown color. But as long as you can see the pupil, I guess that's fine too. And actually the beak is actually a grayish color, so that's a different color. And some of the white on the head has bled into the beak a little bit. It's not too bad, but just, you know, just kind of wanted to point that out. Nothing too serious. The paint application, in my opinion, could have been probably applied maybe a bit better. Like, obviously the lighter color side should have been just primarily left to the underbelly, obviously. All the plates should have been brown. Now, I don't know what color the spikes would have been. They could have been brown too, or maybe they could have been the same color as this beak right here. And then you got a little bit of like this brown that just kind of splotches onto this part of the body. It doesn't even continue all the way down. So it's interesting. So yeah, I mean, it could have been applied a bit better, but for what it is, I think it gets the job done. So overall, I really do like this little Stegosaur. And yeah, Mattel really does like giving us smaller Stegosaur species. I kind of forgot how many there are and just how many of them are kind of a smaller scale. You know, Stegosaurus is obviously the biggest one, and then you got some that are kind of like in the medium-sized range, like Hesperosaurus, and I think Wuhersaurus. I don't even know if I'm even pronouncing that right, but the other Stegosaur with the rounded plates, I think that one was a kind of a big one too. But yeah, overall a pretty nicely, you know, nice little figure. Articulation, the neck here can move up and down, so you get some nice drinking positions or eating positions, and then the neck can go up, which I do like because the plates kind of float together, whereas naturally there's like a huge gap here. I don't know why. Well, obviously because it has to make room for that, but you know, we're all picky in our own ways. And then for the limbs right here, the front limbs can just move forward and backwards. They don't even go 360. I think the body just kind of gets in the way of it. and the hind legs also move forward and backwards. So, you know, classic standard danger pack articulation. And you also got a swivel for the tail, which obviously I don't use because it breaks up the sculpt. And then, oh, also there is a scan code here somewhere. There it is. There's a scan code for that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this little figure. So let's go ahead and take a look at some size comparison. Alrighty, so here we have the Craterosaurus compared with all of the other Stegosaur species that we have gotten from Mattel throughout the years of them having the Jurassic license. And I gotta say, there are a lot. Mattel knows what they're doing for sure. They give us so many species from the Stegosaurs, which they actually all look pretty cool together, to be honest with you. And it's kind of a good way to kind of educate people, you know, about these different kind of species within one family group. So from smallest to biggest, we got the Toyangosaurus, then the Miragaia, then our Craterosaurus, then the Chialingosaurus, Gigantspinosaurus, Kentrosaurus, Hesperosaurus, and the biggest one of them all, the Stegosaurus. So really cool. I really do like seeing all these together. Kind of interesting how, like, from the Kentrosaurus down, all of them have like very similar body types. You know, they got the half plates and half spikes. Some of them have the shoulder spikes. Pretty interesting. Whereas the Hesperosaurus and Stegosaurus are all kind of just the larger, heftier versions with just the plates instead and all the just the spikes on the tail. So really cool to see all of these together. In my personal opinion, I will always go with the Kentrosaurus. I don't know why. I've just been more familiar with that one, in addition to Stegosaurus, obviously. I don't know, you just can't go wrong with the classic Kentrosaurus, but all of these look really great together, and I can't wait to adjust my shelves so I can put all these together. And for a brief little comparison, here is Dieter Stark next to the Craterosaurus, which, as you can see, you know, it's a really small Stegosaur, and I'm not very familiar with how big Craterosaurus really is, but Mattel did put it in the danger pack assortment, so my guess is it's probably a pretty small Stegosaur. Yeah, just kind of wanted to throw a human character out there. So yeah, really cool. Alright everyone, so that's about to wrap it up for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Overall thoughts, I really do like this little Stegosaur figure. It's a nice little one from Mattel. It's nice to add more species to a family, or at least a family tree, family group of dinosaurs. So I like adding another Stegosaur to my family of other Stegosaurs, as you saw in the comparison. But yeah, highly recommend it for any of those people who just are kind of like me, just want to collect every single species, or just kind of like want a cool, you know, smaller dinosaur. At least one that, you know, that doesn't get a lot of recognition, or that isn't very well known. You know, in my opinion, I kind of highly recommend this figure. It's a nice little one. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next review.